KidNuz fans, tired of advertisements? We get it, but we also have to keep the lights on. There's a way around them, though. Parents can join Starglow Plus on Apple Podcasts or at starglowmedia.com/subscribe to ditch the commercials and unlock access to future bonus episodes and other exclusive content from the Starglow Media Network. That's Starglow Plus on Apple Podcasts or at starglowmedia.com/subscribe. Now, on to the news. Good morning and welcome to KidNuz. I'm Kim. Today is Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. And we begin with the world's biggest iceberg on a collision course with an island in the South Atlantic. The megaberg, named A23A, is 3 times the size of New York City, hundreds of feet tall, and weighs just shy of 1 trillion tons. This massive wall of ice is caught in what's called the circumpolar current on a path that could take it smack into South Georgia, a remote Antarctic island with no people but packed with penguins and seals. Scientists say a direct hit would be devastating, but even if it gets stuck on the sea floor before impact, it will create a barrier that makes it harder for wildlife to feed themselves and their young. Scientists say the seal and penguin populations on South Georgia have already been having a bad season with an outbreak of bird flu, and A23A would make it significantly worse. They're hoping it breaks up or spins off in another direction, both of which are still possible. What's in a name? A lot if you're Google Maps. The app announced yesterday that as soon as the Trump administration updates its official sources, it will change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America and Denali in Alaska back to Mount McKinley for users in the United States. President Trump signed an executive order last week requiring the names to be changed on government maps and federal communications. Per Google, the name Gulf of Mexico will remain displayed for users in Mexico. Users in other countries will see both names. It's just a flying roadster. That's the conclusion of space experts keeping tabs on an object flying close enough to be classified a near-Earth object. At first, astronomers thought they had a new asteroid on their hands, and even gave it the name CN41. But after further inspection, they realized it was the cherry red electric sports car Elon Musk sent into orbit in the nose cone of the Falcon 9 rocket back in 2018. The Tesla has its top down, a mannequin named Starman in the front seat, and David Bowie's Space Oddity playing on repeat as it traverses the final frontier. Its next close encounter with Earth is expected in 2047. Retired Eagle turned broadcaster Jason Kelce has a dilemma on his hands. Or does he? In less than 2 weeks, Super Bowl 59 will pit his old team against his brother Travis and the Chiefs. Who will he root for? A listener to his New Heights podcast asked him that very question last August as a hypothetical, if the two teams were to meet. At the time, he made it clear that blood is not thicker than the birds. I will root for the Eagles, of course. I will always be an Eagle first and foremost. I will also root for Travis to have a good game because he's my brother. But no, I'll definitely be cheering on the Eagles. The long-dead DoDo may not be dead much longer. Colossal Biosciences, the company that's already working to revive the woolly mammoth and Tasmanian tiger, now wants to add the extinct bird to its revival list. According to the Skim, Colossal plans to use gene-editing technology to tweak the DNA of its closest living relative, the common pigeon, by introducing ancient dodo DNA into a modern-day pigeon embryo. Doing so, scientists say, would create a bird that would, genetically speaking, be a dodo. Colossal believes bringing back long-lost animals could help combat climate change, restore grasslands, and reduce carbon emissions. Celebrities like Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, Paris Hilton, and Lord of the Rings director Peter Jackson are so sold on the idea that they're jumping on the bandwagon with big bucks funding. But critics aren't convinced, even though reintroducing extinct animals wouldn't happen for years, if ever. They worry that doing so could disrupt existing ecosystems. Still to come, the starting lineup is announced for this year's Puppy Bowl. But first, today's KidNuz quiz. How big is the massive iceberg bearing down on a remote island? 3 times the size of New York City. A near-Earth object that astronomers thought was an asteroid turned out to be what? The Tesla Roadster sent to space by Elon Musk in 2018. Who will Jason Kelce root for in the Super Bowl, his old team, the Philadelphia Eagles, or his brother Travis on the Chiefs? The Eagles. Colossus Bioscience's latest attempt at de-extinction is for what animal? The dodo bird. In today's Kid News Kicker, it's a Super Bowl tradition. Before football's two best teams square off on the field, some of the cutest shelter pets in the U.S. compete for attaboys and attention. The lineup for this year's 21st Annual Puppy Bowl includes 142 dogs from 80 shelters in 40 states and 2 countries. That's the largest number of competitors for Team Ruff and Fluff yet. And while awards like Most Popular and the Lombardi Trophy will be handed out, the real goal is to encourage pet adoption. Among those looking for a forever home this year, Julep, the first St. Bernard mix featured in the game, and Smoosh, the only Pekingese ever to suit up. 11 special needs dogs are also part of the pack, including Jolene, a mix of American Pit Bull and Terrier who uses a wheelchair, Carl, the blind bulldog, and Sprinkle, an Australian Shepherd mix who's both blind and hearing impaired. Puppy Bowl 21 airs before the Super Bowl on February 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern on Discovery. Before we go, we want to shout out our teachers, Mrs. Abramowitz and her Aussie-themed bandicoots at Alamo in Alamo, California. Mrs. Gibbs and her Lynx at Lincoln in Plainfield, Illinois. Mrs. Perkins' Eagles at South Putnam Central in Greencastle, Indiana. And Mrs. Elton and her Tigers at Park School in Hutchinson, Minnesota. Thanks for listening. Please consider a tax-deductible donation to help your favorite nonprofit podcast stay on the air 5 days a week. It's easy. Just visit our website at kidnews.org. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here for more Kid News tomorrow morning.